Hello and welcome back, guys. Today we're going to take a look at PvP again, and we're gonna be analyzing one team deathmatch and one team elimination game, so one 3v3 and one 1v1 matchup. I just wanted to quickly go over and analyze these games because I see a lot of new players make similar mistakes, and I wanted to just give you guys a little bit of an insight of what you can do to become better at Lost Ark PvP. But first, there's 3 videos. I'll probably link them right here somewhere. You can see the picture. They will also be in the description below if you can't find them anywhere else. Those videos will give you like a very good basic overview of Lost Ark PvP. There's a lot of things that are a little bit confusing, and there's even more things that you can't really learn by yourself, so someone has to tell you what's happening. So those 3 videos will be down there. One is about the FOV by Lynn. The other one is also about CC by Lynn. And then the last one is of me, where I just talk about 5 general tips that you kind of need to get into the game a little bit more, and that will help your gameplay out a lot. That being said, let's get into the games, and I hope this helps you out. Let's go. Okay, so this is the first game, the 3v3 game, and we can already tell that there's a little bit of a difference in matchups here, as we have a Deathblade Bard, a Shadowhunter, which is me in this case, and the enemy team has a Sharpshooter, Bard, and a Deathblade. So obviously the Deathblade and Bard combo is similar or the same, but the Sharpshooter and Shadowhunter one is quite different, because Sharpshooters in general are very ranged focus, and Shadowhunter can alternate more. So the Shadowhunter can shut down the Sharpshooter pretty well, while also helping the Deathblade out in fights, and yeah, keep that in mind. So first we start with a very quick engage just to get some space. If you haven't watched the FOV video, I highly recommend doing that. I'm instantly trying to get the best possible FOV, and you can already tell right here that that paid off instantly. So the Sharpshooter here tried his best to get a snipe off early on, because he saw that our Bard here was overextending. Because I have a huge FOV advantage here, I can stagger him out of the snipe, and he can't actually get it off. If you play Sharpshooter and you don't get your snipe off, your class doesn't really do a whole lot outside of that. So this is very important situation here, because I cancel his snipe, which is a very long cooldown, and the Sharpshooter just has to be a little bit more aware of this. Maybe the Sharpshooter doesn't even play with Force 21/9, so maybe he didn't even see it coming whatsoever, but my FOV was also helping the situation there a lot. As we keep going, the Blade is trying to pressure the Bard in the back, but I keep pressuring the Sharpshooter just so the Sharpshooter can peel our Blade off of the Bard. So now I'm entering their base while I'm also comboing the Sharpshooter. I was a little bit late here with the auto attack reset, but it's okay. The Bard also misses the beam, and one big thing I should probably mention is, in this game you really need to understand every single ability's CC and CC protection. A lot of new players obviously struggle with that, which is natural. It just comes with time, but you just have to familiarize yourself with all of the different abilities. What kind of protection do they have? What kind of CC do they apply? And like, how can I interact with that ability? Are they stuck in that animation? Do they need a dash to get out of it? And so on, right? So now both of the Sharpshooter and the Bard miss a lot of abilities here, and I see the roll come out from the Sharpshooter, right? Now I keep going in, I keep pressuring the backline here, because I do know that my backline should be fine against the Blade, although they did get caught there. This was also very important. So the Bard gets staggered here again. I know that the Bard doesn't have a roll right now. The Bard gets knocked down once again, and I see that the Sharpshooter is not at all respecting what I'm currently putting up here, right? The Sharpshooter is way too aggressive, way too far in melee range, and even with Demonic Clone, I could probably pressure the Sharpshooter here and knock him down. But instead, I opt into ulting, which he doesn't respect again, and that animation is obviously protected. He did get off the explosive arrow, so I couldn't really follow it up with anything, but I did get a double ultimate off here, which completely charges my meter. So if you see a Shadowhunter charge up the ultimate, which you have to be aware of obviously, don't get hit by that. If you get hit by that ability, it's very easy to dodge, and if you do get hit, it punishes really hard and gives the demonic identity meter. So now I know that the Sharpshooter also doesn't have roll anymore, but I can't really pressure it. I see that the Bard is being comboed up there, so I'm helping out a little bit, but I'm always trying to be aware of every situation that's happening. The Blade thinks, because I was looking at the Bard for a little bit right there, that he can just punish me and go in, right? especially here. Like I'm focusing the bard right here, and the blade is like, ah, okay, let's see what we can do here. But I was instantly ready to react to that, and again he's overcommitting. So the blade doesn't have a role right now because we already got it from the first engage, and I'm preemptively putting up spikes. So if he does engage with something unprotected again, he will get rolled again, which is obviously very, very bad, and he will get punished really hard here. Basically a full combo, gets the dodge as well, and then decides to ult away. So he gets actually out of the situation, which you should, by the way, never do. Your awakenings in PvP are incredibly important, and using them simply for mobility on most classes, well, with the exception of probably Lance Master, is really not that smart to do. Also Reaper maybe, but we don't have those classes anyways. So the blade misses that entirely. I see my bard dying here, but it's a 2v2 now. So I have the freedom to go back in. By the way, I've disabled my teammates' abilities besides the support abilities, not because I think that's the best way to do it, but because I think it would overwhelm people too much if I, you know, talk over those as well. So as we keep going, the blade gets knocked again, and I recognize he doesn't have a roll, which is one of the most important things. Now, I made a mistake here by not recognizing that the explosive arrow was up on my teammate there, which does knock me as well, which well, leads the Shadowhunter into a good combo, and I overcommit again, not respecting the bard and getting punished for that as well, while not having a roll up. Luckily though, my blade also knocked the sharpshooter again, which, you know, results in us actually being able to play aggressively once again. Now, the most important thing to note here is what is the enemy team really doing, especially the bard right now. Bard Rhapsodied here, this little field that you can see, the purple field that she puts up, that is a tier 2 super armor, and on top of that, it protects your teammates with a shield and a damage reduction buff. So if you put that up on your teammates, it's insane. For yourself, it's only some damage reduction. I recognize that the CC immunity, which is 1 CC immunity on the bard buff, will probably not be active at the moment anymore. So I'm recognizing that I'm opting into a ranged hard CC. Now the bard could have actually dodged out of that and completely avoided it, but since he doesn't recognize that yet and he can't react to the ability, he will get punished really hard now. So I can go back in, get the knock again, and my blade can follow that up as well. So that was literally 70% of the bard's health because of one mistake. Like, keep your dodge reactive and not proactive most of the time, at least. Obviously sometimes you have to be proactive because some abilities are too fast and you have to predict when someone is doing a hard CC, but in this situation, especially with demonic vision, you can absolutely avoid it by dashing out of your abilities. And that's very important, especially for classes like bard, for classes like blade that have more stationary abilities. Keep your dodge so you can actually react to people trying to CC you while you're being stationary. So now this is also something very important that I see a lot of new players do, and that's a huge mistake that will cost you a lot of games if you keep doing it. So the sharpshooter is respawning right here, and you can already see the white damage number, 17,000 damage. Sharpshooter tries to charge up his snipe while being in a safe area, which is a spawn. But the moment you actually activate an ability, your invulnerability from respawning will be gone. So you're risking taking damage. Not only that, but he also still stands in the base fire. And I talk about this in one of the videos, but the base fire is percentage current health. What that means is the more health you have, the more damage it takes, and it can't even kill you. So if you're very low health for a range class like a sharpshooter, it would make sense to stay in the fire. But because he's full health, he's taken a lot of damage and it can't even get anything off here. Although he snipes the blade and doesn't recognize my engage again. I'm trying to push him back into the fire to force his roll, and that worked, right? And now he doesn't have a roll. We can recognize that he doesn't and punished him for a good amount of damage again. Now the blade here also doesn't have a roll, and I recognize that. So we can extend the combo again and just punish him harder than if he had a roll. So it's always something you have to keep an eye out. Does your opponent have a roll? How many seconds are left on the roll cooldown, and so on. Same with dashes, obviously, depending on which class. Some classes have pretty long dash cooldowns, some classes have pretty low dash cooldowns, but generally speaking, that's something you have to get used to, especially if you're playing a class that is more focused on ranged hard CC or hard CC in general, so you don't get punished. What I'm doing now is basically the 3 opponents killed both of my teammates, and I can't really pressure 3 people at the same time as a Shadowhunter, as I don't really have good protection, right? I'm basically trying to reset the game, and luckily the enemy team doesn't push. Now that is something very good for me. In this situation, if you're the enemy team, you have to push. And I say that because you have a 2-man advantage over me, and not only that, but I'm also a Shadowhunter, which can't really protect herself on her own unless I'm just running away. But if you push me into the corner here, I can't really run a whole lot, a whole lot away. I can run back into the base fire, which is down here, but that won't really do anything because I will still take a good amount of damage from there. Right? So if you're the enemy team here, you definitely want to play more aggressively and use, the momentum that you have. Recognize that the enemy team has 2 people respawning and punish the 3rd player. That's how you create momentum, and that's how you create pressure. So as we keep going, my teammates are respawning, and I can already catch the Hawkeye again. And that's also something very important. In this game, you can't really tech chase when someone is rolling. But what you can do, I see that the sharpshooter here, I say sharpshooter, Hawkeye is the same in my mind at least, because that was the old name. I see the Hawkeye rolling, and I'm instantly ready to punish after the roll again. So now the sharpshooter is actually incredibly vulnerable again, while the enemy team is also being pressured. And there's no backline peel here. Luckily, the blade is actually peeling me off of the sharpshooter, and my bard doesn't recognize that the sharpshooter doesn't have a roll, so we can't really punish a whole lot. But this is still a very good situation for us, because the blade in the back just killed the bard, and the Hawkeye is still overcommitting. Keep having the pressure up. That is what you need to keep the momentum and the movement going. And again, the sharpshooter is way too aggressive, and I just wanted to mention that again. The way you play sharpshooter, especially in this situation, would be as a complete and utter peel class. But you see how close I am to the sharpshooter, and he doesn't obviously track my cooldowns yet. So if I had any of these movement tool cooldowns up, he would have been instantly punished for trying to set up a snipe that close to me. But since I didn't have them up, I just had to walk up a little bit closer, and it still worked pretty well. So not only does he miss the snipe, gets cancelled in the snipe, but also he gets punished. He has to use a roll. His snipe, which is his biggest cooldown, is gone, and he takes damage, which he also struggles with. He's trying to punish the bard here, and we get the bard ult off, which is, by the way, really great, because they're really trying to play aggressively, but they can't really pull anything out of the hat here to punish us more. And as we're approaching the 30 seconds mark, I just wanted to mention that the bard ult of the enemy bard is also problematic, because as you can see, one of the players actually died before that. I mean, it's not always so simple that you can just press ult and everyone will be saved, but he ulted way too late, and during the death of the blade basically, so his ult will be quite useless, as we could just disengage right here. If we were a good team, we could recognize, oh, they're using bard ult. We could literally just run away. They don't have a front line to chase us, and the entire bard ult would be useless. And it's one of those ults that's really, really important. Now that the ult is gone, they're playing it very aggressively again, trying to figure out what we're trying to do here. And again, the sharpshooter does not recognize and react to my engage and gets punished in the snipe again. Also, the bard tries to peel me off the sharpshooter there, but doesn't recognize my ability, that it's not gonna be that easy. In demonic form, in Shadowhunter form, you can't actually be staggered, so the only way you can peel me off is with a knockdown or with a stun, right? And because of that, I get a big explosion off there, and although the bard is really trying her hardest to peel and to just play well, it's gonna be really hard. And again, gets cancelled in the hard CC because the hard CC is not stagger immune, and gets punished for that. Way too aggressive, and you need to be a little bit more, like, your spacing on these kind of classes is very important, and you have to recognize that if some melee class is very close to you, that you can't just go in and punish mistakes as easily. You need some space between you. Try to recognize and respect other people's cooldowns more, because this game is really focus around those, and you have to kind of understand at what situation, at what spacing, what FOV angle are you gonna approach the fights. So don't just blindly charge up your abilities. Try to play more reactively than proactively, and try to use your dash reactively as well, especially if you're a little bit more of a stationary class. Okay, so now we're gonna take a look at the 1v1, which is a little bit easier to follow than the 3v3 in my opinion, and I can recognize some other mistakes here and there, although obviously the ranked will only be in 3v3, so keep that in mind. So the first game we're actually playing against a Scrapper, which for Blade is a very good matchup, and already recognizing that he dashed and he used his first super armor engage. Although he does catch me off guard. I was reacting way too late. If you can see my sudden attack down here, the cooldown goes on, but I didn't get it off in time because it has a little bit of a wind up. So if I had reacted a little bit earlier, I would have not got caught here, but I didn't, so I get punished. Luckily, he misses the hard CC though, and then follows that up with a good super armor, while I'm recognizing that I have to get out of the situation. But now he gets punished back. Let's just rewind that a little bit. He tries to hard engage me again here, misses the ability, and I'm whiff punishing right afterwards with a hard CC. Now I can get a full combo off here, which is a good amount of damage, and that is also something that's very important. After you lose your roll, playing this aggressively and getting caught again can be very detrimental, especially if you play a melee class into a Blade. It's going to be incredibly hard for you to approach and punish, because most of the engages in the game are reactable, as you saw right there. And don't play predictably. Play your speed of your class and recognize the cooldowns of the enemy class without like just blindly engaging and trying to retaliate in some situations. A lot of people like to do that, especially new players. Once they get hit once they have to use the roll once, they want to keep the aggression going, but oftentimes that's very predictable. So what I do now, I recognize that he doesn't have a roll, I ult, and I've hard punish with an identity afterwards as well. So now the Scrapper is already very low health just because of that mistake. And again, I get a very good combo off, I get a very good catch off, I react again to the engage because I can tell it's coming. Although my punish here isn't great because I have basically no abilities to go off of, but was still a good amount of damage. And now it's very hard for the Scrapper to play aggressively anymore, because even residual damage to an extent will probably kill him. So he has to play more, let's say, patiently, cautiously, which is normally not a good thing already. And he opts into Awakening here, which maybe was a misclick, I would assume, which obviously doesn't hit me, but doesn't really recognize that I'm very far away, I guess, if it wasn't a misclick. Now he is engaging again, and what you can see here also, he's using a lot of abilities like raw in neutral without having like a confirmed way of hitting me. So he's trying to catch me proactively instead of trying to react to what I'm doing, which in 1v1 in Lost Ark is actually the way better option. And again, I catch him there off guard, trying to push him into using his roll, which worked, and he misses his hard CC once again. Now this will be again a problematic situation. He only has one super armor left, misses it, and I know that this kills, and you know, GG. In the beginning he actually played that pretty well, but then he got caught off guard a couple too many times, so I could punish that. Next up is a Striker, and it's a very similar matchup for Blade. I have to recognize what the Striker is doing here and when the Striker is engaging, so I can react to the situation. That's exactly what I'm doing. I actually overcommit here and get caught after the combo, which is something that a lot of new players also make the mistake of. Here I should have just dashed away after getting my damage off, but instead I opted into sudden attack again, which has a little bit of a wind up, and I get punished for that instantly. Now the Striker can get a good combo off here, but it kind of whiffs the follow-up, and I whiff it too. So we're both in a very, well, weird situation. But again, the Striker, without really having cooldowns up, tries to re-engage again, which in most situations is just not a good idea, especially against a Blade, because my cooldowns are actually very short of the abilities, you know, that can catch you off guard, although my damage ability cooldowns are very high. So again, try to be more patient. Try to play it a little bit more like a fighting game, maybe, where it's more about spacing and footsies, you know, than like World of Warcraft PvP or something, because it's actually closer to a fighting game than most MMOs. And just try to recognize your opponent's abilities and try to learn from there. So I get a good punish off here again, and I catch him in that. So again, I was recognizing, the striker will probably re-engage here with one of the Phoenix Advent abilities. But if you are, it's actually very reactable, and you just, as I said before, you have to play it more patiently, especially against the blade. Use your speed, and not just blindly engage again. Now we're playing against a Sork, which is actually not a very easy matchup for Blade. But again, as I said before, most new players just press buttons, which is good because then you get used to the abilities and everything. But especially in 1v1, your cooldowns are worth a lot because they allow me to not apply as much pressure, right? If I know that you have anti-gravity up, or I know that you have tsunami wave up or whatever, then I can't engage as freely. So now I recognize that he already used a lot of his defensive abilities, so I can use my dash aggressively because I know that he probably won't have anything to respond to that. And I got a big combo off that was basically half the health of the Sork, and I keep trying to pressure that. I'm recognizing my cooldowns here. I'm pushing here without having really high damage abilities, and that's because just so I can actually put more pressure on her and get the roll again before my damage abilities get back up. And that's what I do here. I'm basically in the entire ability here. I recognize that I could get tier 2 knockdown, but instead I opt into my full super armor setup, including identity, so I can stay in there without getting CC'd, while she doesn't recognize that I can do that even, right? So the roll didn't come out in the beginning because she thought I would get knocked here, right? So right here, the Sork could have rolled, but she didn't recognize that I will not get CC'd because I have another super armor up my sleeve, right? Because of that, the Sork will actually get punished again, or the cooldown was still up. It could be both, but generally speaking, in that situation, you have to be aware of what the other class can do, right? Especially when you're playing against a blade that has a lot of super armors. You can't really be too, you have to react to the abilities and see, oh, should I roll here? Should I not? Will he get CC'd? Will he not? And just kind of, decide from there. But because she didn't roll, I get a full identity off on top of a knockup again to extend the combo. So that allows me to get the second hit off here as well as Death Sentence, and she's basically dead now. Again, can't really punish me from this angle because now residual damage will kill her again. So having this low health is very scary, and a lot of people will not really want to play aggressively anymore with this because you can get caught very easily. And now again, as I said, she's throwing out a lot of abilities, which gives me the freedom to play aggressively. And not only that, she uses her dash aggressively, maybe to try to predict my movement, or maybe to just, put some pressure on me so I maybe dash away. But I'm not scared of that as a blade, and I can instantly punish that because I know that both of her hard CCs are gone, and I know that her dash is gone. So as I said, this just gave me like the entry ticket to like, oh my god, Nico, please engage, please engage, because I don't have anything left. And that's exactly what happens. I get the full combo off and finish it off with a Void Strike. So in summary again, especially in 1v1, you have to play more reactively and patiently, and don't allow the enemy player to just, read your strategy as easily, and don't just spam abilities. Use them more reactively. Maybe even bait reactions out of your opponent by just approaching a certain way. So you can actually, push them into using abilities without them actually hitting anything, and then you have the freedom to engage, and then you have the freedom to play aggressively. But yeah, that was basically everything I wanted to talk about. The next video will actually be about an analysis of the Korean tournament recently, so we'll talk about that a little bit more, because obviously this is just like early game tips. Once we talk about actual like end game Korean like professional players, that's going to be a very different analysis, obviously. For anyone who was in this video, I hope this is okay with you. I obviously don't want to bash anyone. I made mistakes in all of these games as well. So, we're all learning here. So thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing, and if you want to watch me live or ask me questions there, go over to Twitch. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.